Good evening, and welcome to our Pittsford Schools Board's meeting. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. Next, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we will begin with our Pittsford Pride celebration. It's one of our...
Let's approve the agenda.
Okay. And we will call for the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion for that? Kim and Dave. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? Motion carried. And then we have Superintendent Pirro here for Pittsford Pride.
Good evening, everyone. I've never had such a full house and everyone's so well behaved. It must be Pittsford Pride. It's so reflective of it. So welcome, everyone, to tonight's very windy celebration of our Pittsford Pride. I'd like to emphasize my gratitude to the principals, all of our nominating staff that are here, family members that are here, friends, special guests, everyone that's joining us tonight. It's such a wonderful evening to celebrate the best of our best relative to citizenship and character. Love you all so much. Can't thank you enough for who you are. So our recipients that are here, if you just raise your hand. Okay, I just need to see you all really good. I just want to say thank you so much for making the lives of other people better. That's why you're here. All of you are making the lives of others better, and I can't tell you how much we need that in our world. And so thank you. Thank you for being so special. Tonight's ceremony will be shared on the district website and also on our YouTube channel. The Pittsford Pride recognition is truly special. It's one of the, in my lens, one of the most remarkable recognitions you can get while you're at Pittsford. Of our nearly 6,000 students, only 27 will be recognized with this recognition this year. Possibly 18 if we don't make up the last one that we missed. So that's even extra special for this group. So I do want to share with you how this worked, how you ended up here tonight at our board meeting. Every building, all 9 of our buildings, are tasked with seeking out individuals that they felt exemplified citizenship. And then we asked them why that person exemplified citizenship. At every building, there's a committee, and they look at all of the candidates that come in to see who they should recognize. And while there's so many great students that we have to choose from, you're here because the committee selected you for your building as being such a tremendous leader and tremendous citizen. Beyond tonight's recognition, students will be recognized many different ways in their buildings. It can range from a bulletin board to morning announcements, to having your name on a plaque, or working with your principal to decide on a special privilege or gift, which can range from free time to a parking pass to spirit wear, to being a class helper, to being a speaker to younger students. Parents and guardians, I don't know if you saw this in the email, if you read the small print. Elementary and middle school, it says right here, recipients, you are responsible for ice cream and dinner of your child's choice tonight. High school, you're responsible for a car. And because we had to reschedule this, the Board of Education will give each of you a day off. Just email them which day you would like to select it for. Yes, Monday. All right, I mean, yes, definitely Monday. All of you have Monday off, I promise you that. As far as the process for tonight, as each student's name is called, I'm going to ask you to just stand up while we read wonderful things about you. When all 9 recognitions have been read, students will collect their framed certificates that are in the back or in the front and stand behind our Board of Education And we're going to take a picture with our district photographer. Family and friends, you're also welcome to take as many pictures as you'd like at that time. To start, our board president, Robin Scott, will read the first three recipients, and that will be followed by our vice president, Mr. Jeff Casey, and then I will read the following three. It is now my pleasure to start this program by introducing our board president, Mrs. Robin Scott.
Thank you. And it's my pleasure to present the first student being nominated, Quinn Feldman. Thank you. Quinn is an 8th grader at Calkins Road Middle School, and she was nominated by the following: Mr. Eckert, Mrs. Althouse, Mr. White, Mrs. Heineck, Mrs. Daniels, and Mrs. Augustine. This is what they are saying about you, Quinn. We are thrilled to nominate Quinn Feldman for the Pittsford Pride Award. Quinn is an exemplary student and a wonderful role model at Calkins Road. She exemplifies good citizenship and the midnight way, consistently striving to do her best work and be her best self, while always being mindful of others. Quinn is an extremely diligent student, taking on the challenges of a rigorous academic schedule, including 2 high school courses at 8th grade, and meeting those challenges with hard work and dedication, even in the face of adversity. While being a divergent thinker can present challenges, it also means Quinn brings a unique perspective to class discussions and always keeps an open mind when listening to her classmates and teachers. She is eager to learn and brings genuine curiosity to each class, adding to the classroom environment. As her math teacher recently said, quote, "I would love to have a class full of Quinns," unquote. According to Quinn's 6th grade team of lead teachers, Quinn was always responsible and kind to her peers. She could always be counted on to work hard and help out anyone in the class. She is not only a great student, but a terrific human being, so kind and caring to all. Quinn was selected to be a web leader for the 2023-2024 school year. Her ability to be flexible, show kindness, show compassion, and work with all types of people is commendable. Our web advisors, Mrs. Augustine and Mrs. Madalino, are so excited to see Quinn get this award and are proud to be a small part of her journey here. Mrs. Reagan has had the pleasure of working with Quinn in bassoon lessons since September 2022. She is one of the most motivated, mature, self-aware, kind, and responsible students Mrs. Reagan has ever worked with. She takes charge of her own learning, paying careful attention to detail in every aspect of her playing. The Pittsford Pride Award recognizes students based on citizenship. This comes from the belief that while individuals may have strengths in different areas, all students can choose to be a good person. Quinn makes the choice to be a good person each and every day. Her exemplary citizenship positively contributes to the Calkins Road community. We are proud of Quinn, and she has every reason to be proud of her achievements and of the positive impact she has had on her school community. Congratulations, Quinn. Thank you. Next, I'm honored to present Winston Glocker, a 3rd grader from Allen Creek Elementary School. Winston was nominated by Mrs. Dim and Mr. Bionde. It is with great enthusiasm and pleasure that we nominate Winston Glocker for the Pittsford Pride Award. Winston is an excellent candidate for Pittsford Pride as he exemplifies many character traits necessary of such a prestigious award. He embodies acceptance, cooperation, empathy, and support of others, which are the pillars of our community at Allen Creek Elementary. Winston starts every day with a smile on his face. His attitude is consistently positive and truly contagious. When you are around Winston, you can't help but also smile. He radiates a genuine spirit that makes others around him feel safe, respected, and supported. Winston truly goes out of his way to make each day better for those around him. Winston is a role model for his peers and leads by example. He consistently maintains a positive demeanor, all while helping others. Students in his class look up to him. They admire his understanding of those around him and his willingness to lend a helping hand at every turn. There have been multiple occasions where a classmate is struggling with a task, and Winston is subtly steps up to offer assistance. The way he navigates these situations with peers is impressive. He does so in a way that makes them feel supported, not judged. Winston has helped guide his classmates through many tasks, from decoding challenging words to forming cursive letters. He is everyone's fan and cheerleader, constantly being positive and providing compliments. One favorite saying that Winston uses is, "It's okay to make mistakes. That's how your brain grows." He makes others feel safe to take risks and accepted for who they are. In addition to being supportive, Winston is extremely empathetic. He is always thinking about others, and his daily actions reflect this level of thoughtfulness. Winston will make cards for people going through a difficult time and then regularly check in on them. He has a way of knowing when someone is having a tough day and finding a way to brighten it. Winston continues to hold himself to high standards and seeks out ways to be helpful within our school community. Winston is deserving of the Pittsford Pride Award as he displays the morals and values we work so hard to cultivate in Pittsford. Winston is genuine, kind, helpful, and lifts others up. Kindness is contagious, and Winston's acts inspire those around him. Winston, thank you for being you. We are also proud of you, your accomplishments, and are honored to be able to nominate you for this award. Continue being the role model you are. Congratulations.
Did you get a card too? Pull you a card.
And our next student being celebrated is Mallory Hildreth. Would you please stand, Mallory? Mallory is a 12th grader at Minden High School, and she was nominated by Ms. Hyde, Mr. Doherty, Mrs. Conlon, Mr. Molinich, Ms. Lynch, and Ms. Julian. Mallory Hildreth is a perfect example of what Pittsford Pride represents. Mallory is hardworking in everything she does, both in the classroom and in her extracurriculars. Mallory is dedicated to achieving her goals, to always doing her best, being her best, and making a difference in the lives of others. In the classroom, Mallory works diligently to complete assignments, study for assessments, and gain a deep understanding of the topics at hand. She is a respectful and kind student that teachers and classmates can look to for leadership. When working with others, Mallory does her best to make sure that everyone has a voice and participates. Mallory is a dedicated athlete, competing on varsity teams at the championship level in all 3 seasons. This year, Mallory received the Sportsmanship Award at the New York State High School Cross Country Championship. Her athletic achievements are just the beginning of what makes Mallory a great teammate. It is her commitment to the team and dedication to helping younger athletes that make Mallory such a valued member of the program. Underclassmen look up to her, upperclassmen respect her, and as coaches, we could not do it without her. When she's not studying or out for a run, Mallory continues to impress. She is a leader in many service-based organizations. Mallory is a source of strength, peer leader, a member of Best Buddies, Link Crew, and the school bookstore. All of these clubs are dedicated to making the community and culture of Pittsford better for all. Outside of school, Mallory also volunteers her time. Across the board, Mallory is a student you can count on. Mallory is a kind, hardworking student and is consistently committed to making our community a better place. For all of these reasons, Minden High School has selected Mallory as our Pittsford Pride recipient. Congratulations, Mallory. And next we will have Jeff Casey, our Vice President of the School Board, come forward.
All right, our next recipient is Alishba Khan. Please stand up. She's a fourth grader at Park Road Elementary School and was nominated by Mrs. Payno, Mrs. Madden, and Mrs. Kirkaby. It is our pleasure to nominate Alishba for the Pittsford Pride Award. Alishba is one of the kindest students we have ever had the privilege of working with. Every day she walks into school with a smile on her face, greeting every adult and student she encounters. Alishba approaches every day with a positive attitude and brings out the best in other people through her kindness. Alishba is humble, friendly, and incredibly thoughtful. She uses her critical and innovative thinking skills to not only solve her own problems, but also to help others. She helps to create a kind, safe, and supportive environment in our classroom and school communities. Every classroom she enters benefits from her positive attributes, which she always uses to uplift and benefit others. Alishba is always willing to try anything new with a smile and a zest for learning. She's willing to help anyone in need while in the classroom. Her creativity and thoughtfulness is inspiring to her classmates. She is always seeking out opportunities to help others and is truly a friend to all students. Alishba is patient and understanding when her peers are struggling with something and always does her best to support them any way she can. Alishba tries her best in everything she does and overall has a great attitude. Alishba's energy, thoughtfulness, and kindness are truly magnetic and make Park Road a better place to be every day. She is a tremendous role model to both students and adults. We cannot wait to see what the future holds for Alishba. She is going to do amazing things. She is a student who truly makes the world a better place. Our next recipient is Ryan Maxon. Can you please stand up? Ryan is a fourth grader at Jefferson Road Elementary School and was nominated by Mrs. Green. Ryan Maxon consistently shows incredible citizenship and is a great role model at Jefferson Road. I can always count on Ryan to be responsible. If there is something I need done, Ryan will volunteer and complete the task to the best of his abilities. I can trust Ryan to do the right thing with a substitute and during specials. Ryan shows integrity in his actions with other adults throughout the school community. In addition to being an excellent student, Ryan plays baseball and basketball outside of school. Ryan is a great advocate for himself and other students. He is caring and able to respectfully stand up for what he believes in. Not only does he have a great sense of right and wrong, he takes action. I trust Ryan to be an accurate reporter and know he would go out of his way to help. Ryan is a compassionate and a great leader. When I mentioned nominating Ryan for Pittsford Pride, it was clear that Ryan's classmates also think very highly of him. One classmate wrote, "Ryan is a hard worker at everything. He is nice to other people and he is funny. He is also hardworking at baseball and good at catching." Other classmates included that he follows directions and is welcoming. Another wrote, "Ryan is great at working in groups. He cooperates nicely with everyone and always participates in group conversations. Ryan is determined, hardworking, and kind. I've never not seen him working hard, and he is never goofing off." Other students included, "He is polite, patient, a great classmate, and an awesome friend." I am fortunate to have Ryan represent Team Green at school and in the Pittsford community. have Superintendent Bureau back up for the next nominees.
So you do know we canceled everything after school today, except for this. This is how special the night is. I have the privilege of introducing next Adriana Ochoa, 12th grade at Sutherland High School. Nominated by Mr. Puma. Adriana is wise beyond her years. She puts thought and care into everything that she does. She reflects on experiences and grows from them, whether it be developing her skills as an athlete or navigating a challenging academic course. She is conscientious, hardworking, dedicated, motivated, organized, holy cow, and respectful. In her day-to-day interactions, Adriana strives to always show respect to her peers, faculty, and staff, because showing appreciation to others for the work that they do is something that she values greatly. Adriana is very responsible as a strong leader. She's engaged in a variety of leadership roles that include being a founder of Unidos and our school's Ultimate Frisbee Club, cross-country captain, editor-in-chief, and treasurer of the Yearbook Club, treasurer of Girl Up, a member of Interacts Club leadership team, a member of Rock to Change, and is a valued Link leader. Wow. When asked by her counselor about extracurricular activities, Adriana explained how meaningful it was when she started the club Unidos in her sophomore year. It is a club for all students who want to learn more about different Hispanic cultures and the Spanish language. The goal is to help provide representation of students from Spanish-speaking countries while also helping forge bonds between students from our entire school community. This group also focuses on helping students feel proud of their cultural identity while also creating respect and equity among all students, regardless of their nationalities. Frequent activities that reflect this include the sharing of traditional dishes, speaking about the historical significance of different holidays, and participating in activities that encourage students to ask questions about different traditions. Leading this club has contributed to her growing as a person, and she has learned more about herself as an individual through the planning of club activities and taking on the various responsibilities that come with being a club leader. We can all learn from Adriana. She is optimistic and chooses to focus on the positive. It is without question that she will continue to have a profound impact on those around her, and we are very proud to call her a Sutherland Knight. Congratulations. Next, we have 6th grader Maria Ray. Maria, you are nominated by every person on the planet, but I'm going to name some of them that are with us tonight. Mrs. Dolan, Mrs. Sackett, Mr. John, Mrs. Connor, Mrs. Williams, the whole green team, Board of Education, Mr. Pirro. It keeps going. Many people know Maria as a student with FOP. However, we have been blessed to come to know Maria as a wonderful asset to Barker Road Middle School. Merriam-Webster defines citizenship as the quality of an individual's response to membership in a community. Maria's response to being a citizen of Barker Road goes beyond that of our typical middle school student. On a daily basis, Maria demonstrates all of the core principles at Barker Road, but most especially those of kindness, empathy, and perseverance. Maria goes above and beyond to be kind and empathetic every day. For example, Maria was given an option of changing her lunch period so that she could be with her close friends from elementary school, rather than with peers that she did not know as well. While making this change was likely the more appealing option for Maria, her concern was not for herself, but rather the feelings of another peer at her lunch table. She decided not to make the move simply because she did not feel it was right to leave a peer without a friend in lunch. Love it. This is only one example of the kindness and empathy that we see Maria exhibit on a daily basis. When peers had an opportunity to write notes of kindness to each other, Maria was a popular recipient. Maria's peers used words such as a great, kind, helpful, very nice, and smart person as they wrote letters of thanks to her. These encapsulate the positive impact Maria has on each peer she comes in contact with. In addition to Maria always going above and beyond to welcome her peers and to be a friend to all, she also exhibits perseverance to an extent that exceeds that of most adults. Maria comes to school each day with a smile on her face. Regardless of what she is doing, how she is feeling, she's smiling. I was lucky enough to be interviewed by Maria for a yearbook article she is writing. Throughout the entire interview, every time I looked at Maria, I was met with her infectious smile. While smiling, Maria gives each day at school her all. She has an infectious smile. Whether she is engaged in a challenging academic task or she is working on a choreography after school in select chorus, Maria embraces it all with grace and with heart. Since arriving at Barker Road Middle School, Maria has quickly paved her way as a model citizen. She is a role model not only to her peers, but also to the adults around her. Being a part of Maria's world fills you with gratitude and makes you want to do your best and be your best every day. She is undeniably Pittsford pride herself. Congratulations. And last, we have Emma Yeager, grade 4, Menden Center Elementary School. Nominated by Mrs. Carpin and Mrs. Engert. It is our pleasure to nominate Emma for the Pittsford Pride Citizenship Award. Emma is a well-rounded student who always makes a positive difference for those around her. In her 4th grade classroom, students can give shout-outs to their peers. Emma frequently completes written shout-outs to applaud the efforts of her classmates and celebrate the contributions they make to the classroom. This is also true of Emma when she is working in small groups. She has a skillful way of sharing her thinking, while also soliciting input from her classmates and honoring the voices of those around her. Emma cares about what others have to say, and she has shown consistent respect and interest in her classmates' stories. Emma is a leader. She's a role model for others and can always be counted on to make exemplary choices and initiate high-quality work. Last spring, when Emma was in 3rd grade, she made a positive impact in her classroom during one of the most challenging months of the school year. She lent a hand to her teacher, often completing routine tasks in the classroom and initiating other helpful tasks. During this time, Emma was also supportive of her peers. She would frequently sit with groups, completing computer projects and answering questions, troubleshooting technology issues, and offering her help. Her presence in the classroom was like having an additional teacher and highlighted the remarkable way Emma supports others in an empathetic manner. Emma, we do need substitute teachers. We will pay you. You're hired. In her class this year, Emma has the ability to recall things she learned in 3rd grade and apply them to 4th grade tasks. For example, as a 3rd grader, she learned how to use Flipgrid, and she readily found ways to use Flipgrid for other assignments such as her book talks. During math discussions, Emma has a way of sharing her higher level thinking and understanding of complex ideas in a way that is understandable to her 4th grade peers. She is extremely humble and always comes from a place of wanting to do good for others. Emma is not only a standout in her classes, but also a participant in sports and after-school clubs. She brings her best every day, and we couldn't be prouder of her. Congratulations, Emma. So if we could at this point have all of our recipients grab your plaques and your letters and just stand right behind the Board of Education. We'll organize you once you get up there. And family members, please feel free to take as many photos as you'd like. So again, a huge congratulations to our recipients. Thank you for making the world a better place. And because you are so good, you do not have to stay for the board meeting. So feel free, we'll take about a 1 to 2 minute recess.
So did they do the track?
We will continue our meeting at this point. And I'd like to ask Melissa Julian from Minden High School to come forward to give us our principal's report.
We expect great things after that.
Great. Great. It's either robotics we follow or Pittsford Pride.
Right.
But here we are. So thank you for having us this evening. We can't wait to talk about the great things that are going on at Minden High School. And thank you for joining us for our board tour last week. That was a lot of fun for us. We always enjoy the opportunity to show off a little bit about the Minden Strong and the Vikings. I'm just short. Okay. So before we start, I just want to thank Andrea and Laura for the partnership and the continued work that we do at our building, and then our ILT who provided input on what you'll see tonight. So our board presentation has a theme, and it's called The New and the Continuing, because a lot of times in education, you'll see something come in for one shot, and then it slowly goes away. We don't believe in doing that at Minden, so you'll see a lot of things that we started 5 or 6 years ago that we've been continuing to tweak and modify over time, and the strength of what we're trying to do based on data and research and feedback and input from our staff and students. So for the last few years, these have been our primary areas of focus: our social emotional learning and supports, health and safety, and instructional practices and moves, and they all play together to create a safe environment for our students, both mentally and physically, and to continue to make our students successful, whatever that looks like for each individual student, because we want all students to be successful in their own way at Mendon. So this year, we have a new social worker, Chris McGee, because Leilani Hughes moved into the SAFE role at the district level. And with her, she comes from a wide variety of experiences and background, including as a Pittsford Youth Service member years ago, has worked at many different districts, and has a great wealth of knowledge and expertise that she brings to the table. But she also brings Clover to work regularly, which has been a huge opportunity for our kids. They are seeking out the therapy dog on a regular basis. Our staff is seeking out the therapy dog, and it's just created a nice addition to the already suite of tools that we have. More kids are opting to go see the social worker on Wednesdays and Fridays because that's when Clover's in the building, and we're having a hard time keeping up with that, so Clover might expand to a third day. And then we're continuing with our connected adult activities. So last year I talked about the survey that we did with students. We did a modified version of that again this year. We just did it right before the break. Our staff did the DOT activity a little bit differently this year, but they did it electronically, where they found connections with students or students they felt connected to, and then students they might have some concerns with. We're looking at that data right now, combing through it and matching it, so our staff will get who the students identified as connected to and who they feel they're connected to, and we'll match that backwards, and then we'll discuss it at the next, well, a couple faculty meetings out so that we can have that data for them. So continuing with that activity, modifying and tweaking. Health and safety is a continued process at Mendon. We look at it from both the physical and the social emotional lens of safety. And so just a couple of things that we've noticed this year. We have done, and Andrea has done, and Laura have done an amazing job communicating about our DASA processes and our practices. Everything from our first opening day meeting with students to communicating when we send messages home about the DASA process, et cetera. So you do see a rise in our data around the DASA reporting, which is a good thing, in all honesty, because we want people to feel comfortable coming forward and reporting. And we're seeing that rise in 3 different ways. They're talking more to staff, they're reporting it online through the reporting system, and they're coming down and seeking out our assistant principals. It's a great opportunity for us to connect with students, and it also is a great opportunity for us to really dig through what sort of patterns we're seeing and then try to figure out ways to support our students in that way. Because of that, we're continuing to implement our restorative practices and finding opportunities for kids to work on those skills as well. And we're doing that through a lot of work with our counselors, our social worker. Chris, like I said, brought a wealth of knowledge to the program. And we've been doing a lot with students thinking about intent versus impact, and not just their impact, but impact on others. And so we're seeing growth in a lot of our students around that. Some new things that we've done is we've been advocating for a few years for a badge reader on the auditorium. We were successful this year through Mike Vespi and Jeff Beardsley getting that done. So now that big area that we've been concerned about for the Commons, if ever there's a true emergency, any staff member will be able to badge into the auditorium, get the kids or whomever into that space, door locks behind them. We know the students will be safe. So that's exciting for us. And then we've been part of the entryway planning and what that will look like in the upcoming year. And we're trying to create a more welcoming environment in that space while we're worrying about the safety aspect of it. So always those two are at the forefront of what we do as leaders in our building. And then instructional practices. This is the third pillar of all the things that we do at Mendon. And we're going to look at it from 2 different lenses. We're going to look at it from the staff lens and the student lens. So the strategic initiative work, engaging students in the learning by increasing rigor and authenticity. So our staff time together this year has really focused on the instructional hub work that we started over the summer with our staff and digging into the social emotional framework, which has been a priority of ours, really working with our staff on social emotional practices in the classroom and small things you can do to create those relationships and build those relationships for the last few years. And then this past few months, we've been working on the next generation skills, which is what you see our staff focusing on in those pictures right there, really diving into what does that look like with the criteria and the areas. what we've asked the teachers to do from the fall staff day is take a look at implementing a strategy from a move from the instructional hub. And then at the November staff meeting, we had them come forward, and in small groups, they talked about the move that they selected, why they chose that move, how it relates to their classroom, why they picked that particular strategy. Then they sat together in small groups and talked about that and got to share a little bit about their classrooms and talk about what went well, what they would have tweaked with Fidelity, and it really led them to seek each other out, ask good questions, go to each other's classrooms. So it's creating this environment that has provided opportunities for our staff to really ask us for feedback when we go in for observations or just come by and see something. But then we built on that and had them do an exit ticket and explain why they chose the strategy that they did, how it went in the room, and then provide for us where they felt that they would rate the activity and why and what they would have done differently if they could have. So that feedback then we took, and we are now in January asking them to do the same exact strategy, do the same exact activity, choose a different strategy from the hub based on work we'll do at the January meeting, and then bring it back in March. Sit with their peers and talk about the practice. That they long for ways to do that, to sit together and talk about things, and they don't often get that. So that's what we've been really doing with our staff meetings. And it's created a really great buzz in our building. And then from the student standpoint, we've had the ability this year to continue our win time. Last year, we worked with Sutherland to come up with some strategies of the best way to approach that through working with PDTA. We've been able to secure win time through every Wednesday of the school year after the first 5 weeks, which the students and the staff are really giving us really great feedback about. Students, it's what I need, so students are identifying what they need in that moment. For some students, it's extra practice in a math room, it's meeting with a one-on-one on a teacher. Sometimes we have the Commons open this year, so groups of students can go down and work together in that space if they have a project or something they're working on. So we're able to continue that really positive time. We also continued our cell phone procedures from last year with some minor tweaks. We realized we'd never said you can't bring your cell phone to the bathroom, so we've told students they can't do that. So minor tweaks like that our instructional leadership team continues to work through together. And then this year we started something called the First Five, Last Five, based on the instructional leadership feedback piece. And it's based out of research that the first 5 minutes of a class and the last 5 minutes of a class are crucial times. The first 5 tend to be where the teacher's setting the stage, providing the benchmarks or the learning goals for the period, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. And the last 5 is usually that wrap-up time where the student should be reflecting on that growth for the period. And therefore, we've said no student can leave the classroom during those first 5 minutes or those last 5 minutes. We've seen a decrease in the amount of students in the hallways in between that time, in the transition time, and they're doing what they need to do, such as going to the bathroom during that transition time. So really what we're trying to do is capture those 2-5 pivotal moments in class and have the kids there to do the learning. It's working very well. We will, again, talk about it at ILT, see what we need to tweak, if we want to continue it, et cetera, as we go through the year. So this is how it's playing out in the classroom. Those are our pictures from win time, as you can see from the students up above. And then when we were talking about the strategic initiative, really what we wanted to do was show it to you in action. And so what we chose from the instructional leadership lens was we talked about which class might be the best to highlight some of the engaging students by rigor and authenticity. So the instructional leadership team chose to just give you a quick snapshot of a virtual enterprise course, which is a capstone course in business. And if you have a child in our school program anywhere, this is a class I would highly encourage them to take, because the kids start a business from the ground up, and they are responsible for every facet of it, from creating the logos. Well, I'm going to let them tell you, because they do it better than I do.
Welcome to Virtual Enterprise, where rigor, relevance, and authenticity come together to shape the leaders of tomorrow. We learn business by doing business.
Relevance is at the forefront of our work in BE. In our collaborative community, students work to build a business from the ground up through brainstorming business ideas, creating an elevator pitch, designing products, building a website, developing a marketing plan, perfecting a sales pitch, and constructing a functioning trade show booth.
BE is different from other classes that I take because instead of learning about topics, I get to experience what a real business feels like. I get to be creative, and I'm able to connect of which I got to curate a risk management plan. And not only did I get to learn what that is, but how I can actually apply the needs of our company and create solutions.
Our VE students aren't just students in a classroom, they are employees that apply their knowledge in an authentic way to a virtual business environment. They take on functional roles such as CEO, CFO, or vice president in departments such as accounting, sales, marketing, information technology, public relations, and human resources.
It's different from other classes and it's more interactive and allows for collaboration among the classmates. It equips me with skills that I can use in the real world, and it also has less structure, so it means that we have to take initiative.
How is VE different than the other classes you've taken at MHS?
One of the big reasons why VE is different than any other class I've taken is the way that the students are able to decide, what the year is going to be about, and there's a lot of individuality, but there's also a lot of team building activities, which gives us a lot of responsibility as well. It's also very hands-on, and we get to work with a lot of other schools and classes about how VE works, and we get to work with a lot of other schools and get a lot of new opportunities.
Students work together, supporting each other's ideas and creating a network that extends beyond the classroom, fostering a rigorous learning environment. Many of the work products students create are shared with and evaluated by their VE peers during virtual and in-person trade shows. A business plan, financial reports, sales contracts, branding packet, website, newsletter, and video commercial are submitted for evaluation by industry professionals. There is an element of competition associated with each of these pieces as well, which allows us to shine on a national stage, all while showcasing our innovative business solutions and entrepreneurial spirit.
So I just want to thank our business teachers for putting that together for us, because they taught me how to use Canva. If anybody's ever used it, it's great. But one of the things I want to highlight about that is we just found out again we have placed nationally and for VE business plan, so they will be going to New York City to compete on a national level again this year. But this truly is, if you ever have the opportunity to get to the trade show, Sutherland High School hosts it locally for us. Students do a phenomenal job of selling their business, but they know it inside and out because they build it from the ground up, and our teachers just become facilitators of the learning and really slide to this side as they go through the course of the year. So when we were talking about the instructional practice and the strategic initiative and action, this is one of many courses that came to the surface, but very few people have actually had the opportunity to see it in play, so we wanted to highlight it tonight, especially because our kids continue to do so well in that performance. So thank you for listening.
Welcome.
And if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you. I would like to give you a hand and give the kids a hand for the great work that they're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm very proud of them. Are there questions? Are there questions? Okay. Okay, hearing none, we will proceed. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Melissa. So may I have an approval for the minutes from the December 12, 2023 meeting? Renee and Sarah. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion's carried.
Can I just interject really quick?
Yes.
Just super quick, there is more and more outages with power in our area. So if we do lose power here, we will have our backup floodlights go up. It'll be dimmer than normal. We're going to keep going with the board meeting, but know that it's a possibility. So I don't want anyone to get worried if you see the lights go out quickly, but there are a lot of outages up and down 96 right now.
Thank you very much for that information. So next, our Board of Education reports. Of course, there are many meetings that we attend, and we all serve on committees with MIXPA. And so something very exciting going on tomorrow it's going to be a talk about the Earth event that's coming up, our solar eclipse. And so there's going to be some training for all of Monroe County School Board members to be a part of that, because, you know, that's, as it approaches, there's more excitement about the event. So we're, the Information Exchange Committee is tomorrow, and we'll be involved in that training. So when we continue to do our work throughout that, is there anyone who would like to say, would you like to say something about legislative, Sarah? Yes.
Just a reminder that that information exchange meeting tomorrow is at 4 o'clock, so unusual time, but it's going to be a great event. Just two quick things about the Legislative Committee. Our annual breakfast will be on February 3rd. I've talked about it already, but invitations for that will come out on Friday for our members, so be looking for that from Nancy. And then we also have our Albany trip, which we've moved the date. I've said that a few times as well, but just so everyone knows, it's March 4th. We've closed out registration for that at this point, but we have 26 members that are going. So it's going to be a great event, great turnout. We have several meetings scheduled already, and I'm still looking to secure a few more. So looking forward to that as well. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So dates to remember coming up are, schools are closed for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Monday. We have a board visit tour at Barker Road Middle School on the 18th of January by a show of hands. Who can attend there? Yes, thank you. I will be away. I'm so sorry, but I will be away for that. So I'm sure you all will have a wonderful visit at Barker Road Middle School. Next, our regularly scheduled meeting is January 23rd coming up. Next, we will have financial report. Mr. Vespi.
Mike, just one, I'm sorry.
No.
If there's students that are here for PIG, are you all here for PIG? Why don't you come, if you want to leave right now, why don't we sign your sheets? You don't have to stay for the entire meeting. I just don't want to have you have to stay later than you need to with the roads.
Well, we have to take notes about, like...
Okay, you're welcome to stay. I'm just...
Well, yeah, maybe we'll leave like a little bit early.
Okay, you got it.
Thank you. She didn't get the signature.
She's your signature. Can we get bonus points? Yeah. You get extra credit.
Okay, for your consideration is the treasurer's report. Again, I try to summarize anything of significance. We've already met our budget for interest earnings. You can see there's a lot of money that is invested between our certificates of deposit and our NICLAS investments. We continue to trend slightly higher on sales tax, so that's always good from a revenue standpoint. The school lunch fund, what I see is a continued trend of a higher cost of food, not unlike what you see. And with our new food service director, there's been I think a real commitment in terms of the quality of food and ordering and high interest. So I see that we're looking at the translation to sales and a la carte sales, and overall, though, this year compared to last year, because of that cost of food, we're trending a little bit lower overall in that food service budget. So that's something that I'm going to keep a close eye on going forward.
Thank you. With that, is there a motion to accept the treasurer's report from November 30? Sarah and Kim, are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, next for your consideration is a tax certiorari stipulation settlement. I'll keep my comments brief. Essentially, a couple of things. One is this was a unique situation that involves a percentage of the property that was tax exempt, as opposed to a typical case that would focus on the valuation or assessed value of the property. So this was pretty unique.
And from that standpoint, leaves the district in a situation where there really wasn't a negotiations process. So that's the first aspect that's unique. The second one is that through the continuation of the settlement, it goes past that 3-year period through legal action to 6. The good news is we have plenty of money in the tax surcharge to cover it, but we'll have to look at the close of this year at that balance to really carefully re-encumber some of the other dollar amounts that we have set aside for existing cases. So, kind of a good news, bad news situation. Glad to have it behind us, though, from that standpoint.
Thank you, Mr. Besby. Is there a motion to accept the tax certiorari stipulation? Jeff and Emily. Any questions regarding that? Hearing none. All in favor? See none opposed. The motion carries.
Okay, and last but not least, the consideration of a 403B special pay plan. Again, unique. This is a first, but I think is necessary. Any special pay situations that require a contribution, either an employer or employee contribution to a 403B plan, if our employee doesn't have an account set up, that money just kind of sits and we account for it. This plan would allow us to put that money into a special purpose account on behalf of the employee until they're able to set up their own account. So it's a really an interesting aspect. It's kind of newer, and I think will apply. We'll have good use in the future as that method for benefit distribution increases. I think the utilization for it increases, and potentially will help our employees who may not have that already set up. So kind of a unique situation, but I think very positive.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the 403B special pay plan? Dave and Emily? Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor? Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. So you'll see the bid award on the consent agenda? Yes. And next we'll have a report from Human Resources report from Mr. Clark.
Thank you and good evening. First for your consideration is the professional staff report. We have 2 administrative changes in status from probationary to tenure and 1 school-related professional appointment. Believe it or not, that's it.
Okay. So is there a motion to accept the professional staff report? Kim and Renee. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. And next for your consideration is the support staff report. We have 3 clerical appointments, 1 clerical resignation, 1 transportation resignation, 1 custodial resignation, 1 custodial termination, 1 food service appointment, and 1 food service resignation.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept the support staff report? Dave and Emily, are there any questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we will have a curriculum report from Mrs. Ward.
Good evening. Thank you. Tonight, we're asking for your approval for the 2 courses that were presented to you at the last meeting by Nicole Berry, the standards leader for secondary social studies. The first is modern military history, which will replace the Vietnam elective, and the second is a revision to the current military history course. And I just want to point out that I think the title they finally settled on for that is early military history rather than ancient military history. So 1 course will be modern military history and the other will be early military history. Thank you.
Thank you. So as you will see you've seen the second reading in your packets for the approval of the 2 new courses, modern military history and early military history. So we will combine the 2 for a motion. If you, okay. Renee and Sarah, all in favor? All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Thank you. And next, we'll have a report from our Chief Information Officer, Dr. Kimmerer.
Good evening. I'm going to keep this brief, knowing that the weather is deteriorating, so I just wanted to give you a quick 10-minute or less flyover of what you have in your packet already, and that's about 80 pages, so sorry for monopolizing the board's packet tonight. But there is a ton of data there for you, and my door is always open if you ever want to chat, and I have chatted with many of school board members in the past to kind of unravel some of the complex formulas that Donna Hanson and the data team do behind the scenes. And Donna is here today with us. I'm convinced she heard the superintendent giving away free cars to the kids. Why not her? So you can pick up your car on the way. Yeah, perfect. And it's not just done in a vacuum. We use this data for budget planning, for bus route planning, for today, for example, I was on the phone with SEI for 30 minutes talking about building project planning relative to size and student outlook. So this is not done in a vacuum, not done for edutainment. This is absolutely done for all of us in different venues. The picture you have here on the title slide, Mike Vespi and I, boots on the ground almost a year ago, checking out things. When we hear it through the grapevine, when we get those email messages from many of you, go check out what's being built. This is Skyway Drive, which was ultimately now 2, but maybe up to 8 module homes that are being built near one of the Allen Creek catchment area streets called Skyway Drive. So Penfield Farms, if you want to look it up, really nice after they're much further along than what's there. So quickly, year-to-year comparison. We did grow, and we continue to grow and have been growing the last few years. When I first started with the district, you're looking at probably 6,100 students. We're creeping back up to closer to 5,600, and the projections show a gradual increase thereafter. Where were those students landing? There's always ebb and flow to our neighborhood turnover, different birth rates in the area. Families come and go, but you see what I see here, and we've gained 63 students here, predominantly in the elementary school arena. And I'd like to show that as a line graph by grade, but also like to show the trend line for all of us in the community and at the board level for the implementation of our full-day K. We have had a steady incline, many of those kiddos coming us from private school settings, so our K program continues to be strong since the implementation of it. Spilling over in the page a little bit, but it's clear in your packet. The middle schools, there's always an ebb and flow of cohorts by cohorts, I mean class size that each grade goes through. So it may show some negative numbers there, but it tends to bounce back. I'll show that in a line graph in a second. And the same thing with the high schools, I would say holding steady. And in some later slides and in your packet, you'll see that Mendon High will be growing for sure based on some of the new home construction that we'll quickly talk about tonight. So there's that flat line for 6, 7, and 8 over time. You see the crest and troughs of up and down when the cohort sizes do ebb and flows through the years. And the same thing with 9 through 12, but over time it straightens out, and it's very solid. So predictions, if you were to look in your board packet, look in Deb's notes from last year, you would see that the numbers that we showed to the board and to the community were about 99.5% accurate. So the work we show you here is done with a lot of thought, a lot of care. As Donna would tell you, we spent at least 6 weeks putting this packet together, and it's a lot of comprehensive formulas that we inherited from consultants and past administrators that we can hang our hat on. And then we like to dig into the details, and in your packet you even have it by school, by grade. A little bit too much clutter here for a slide, but you have it in your packet that shows by grade, by school, what we predicted last year versus what came to fruition in October. And it's usually the first Wednesday in October, so that we have that, the milestone is what's called Beds Day, when we report to the state, and that's the day, the marker that we use to do that year-to-year comparison. And here's the predictions from last year relative to school size and schools. And then if you were to look in your board packet, board notes from 5 years ago, still very solid, very predictable, good integrity. We're about 98% accurate from our predictions that far back. 10 years ago, a little bit more. When I first started doing these presentations, we missed a little bit. We were about 95% accurate. We overshot. We thought the district would hold stronger at 5,800, 5,900. But to remind everyone what I said earlier, it is coming back to those sort of numbers over the next 5 years. To illustrate that, I'm showing here, because we don't just count. It's easy to say that this year's first graders will be next year's second graders. It's never that easy. We do look neighborhood over neighborhood, and we have very complex formulas that we look at turnover rates and neighborhoods aging out. and we look at the birth rates from the county. So we calculate this more than just simply rolling over grades from year to year. And I've created here a pop-out for all of you saying, yeah, like for example, Menon Center, it could be as low as 595, but with building construction that you're going to see in a moment, it could be as high as almost 700. And with us 4 or 5 years ago moving the attendance boundary lines, we have positioned ourselves to grow at Menon Center, so that should not cause pause. I would say more of causing celebration that we have planned ahead and we've positioned ourselves for future growth, at least for the Menon Center school. And the other schools will stay strong. Certainly with the construction, it'll cause Menon Center to go up a little bit as long as that construction actually happens, and there's no reason why to believe it won't. So very steady, if not gradual growth over time. And we did the same thing for Barker Road and Mendon High, where the construction is happening in our neighborhoods. You're going to see growth at Barker Road because some of the numbers look flat or shrinking even a little bit. And the growth could even come as early as 2026. But to play it safe, to err on the side of caution, I would say personally Barker Road will edge up towards 720 to 750 over the next 5 years with that new home construction. And same thing with Mendon High. It's inevitable that folks will move into these new homes. I'll show you which exact streets in a moment. But we'll be between 900 with a high water mark of 1050. So we can pretty much plan that Mendon High will grow in the future based on the trends that we know of. So projections over time with some growth forward, a lot of them staying flat. To the best of our ability, flat or increase over time, over 10 years. And to quickly dismiss a misnomer, many times folks will come to us saying, lots of kids are leaving Pittsford schools because your numbers are getting smaller and they're going to private schools or homeschool situations, and that's not simply true. We have a great registrar, Patty Kearns, who does a lot of counting of kids in both the homeschool situations and the private school settings. And we know where all of our kids are. Mike Vesby's team will tell you they bus them a lot of times unless you're homeschooled. So we know of these young kiddos and teens and tweens. And I would say that we're pulling on a smaller number of 6141. So family size might be getting smaller, but our public school students are holding strong at 5566 with the private school shrinking a little bit, going down to 575. So the private school settings are losing students, and you'll see in a moment homeschooling is on a downward trend as well. We like to show the private schools in our local catchment areas with very specific numbers by school and what the enrollment there for those schools are. And for those private schools outside of our catchment areas, with me doing that pop-out that I promised, showing the downward trend of homeschool. And there'd be no surprise that it was up a little bit during COVID for obvious reasons. The long-range trajectory, again, shows that gradual upward trend. I would say at the bare minimum, it's heading towards 5,700 with the propensity of going high as 58 or 5,900 with that new home growth in the southern catchment areas. In your packet, I wanted to call this out real quick, is that it's not a typo. We do some placeholders when we start looking out past 5 years into 10 years from now. We put consistent proven numbers there as placeholders because those children have not been born yet. So we can't count kids that aren't born yet. So we do put placeholders in to do our calculations just to satisfy any misnomers. Overall, the birth rates, those smaller family units that I was speaking of, certainly going down as a downward trend, fewer babies. But the good news for us, I think it's good news, we're in the teaching and learning business, that our business remains strong and that those eligible kids in the Pittsford area outlast the locals in other surrounding areas. We have more kiddos coming to us in K than other school districts. It continues to increase. Not much to tell here, except that there's some growth around us. Not a lot of loss. If you drive through Penfield, if you drive through Webster, you might see a little bit of growth. Pittsford, no different. But no explosive growth and no mass exodus that we know of based on us being able to count. If you haven't received it already in the mail, you're probably getting new census information. Our census data is old. We're doing the best we can to use the census data that's probably 12 or 14 years old, so hopefully we'll get a refresh from the federal government. Years ago, I used to do a lot of the census slides from the federal government, but with that data so old now, it's kind of unreliable. What do we look like in terms of ethnicity and race? We are definitely changing over time. Percentage-wise, you can see the legend there. The face and the community of the organization definitely changing. And then I provide not only percentages, but raw numbers If you're ever interested, I think there's a website called data.gov, which I give the website here in a minute. If you want to check my work on this, people love to dig into the details going back as many as 10 or more years, and that data is up on a public website for your perusal. And this whole presentation I'll put up on the website tomorrow as well if it's tough to see or if I'm going too fast. And the race, more of the ethnicity here, changing a little bit. We're showing the most growth with our Asian Pacific Islander population and with those identifying as multiracial. And that look back almost 20 years, how we have changed. Have some donut charts there for you to look at the differences and how we are definitely looking and feeling different as a culture. We're able to work with our Regional Information Center, and they are willing to give us that data. And there's the website I promised you at the bottom of the screen. This is a year newer than what you'll find on that website. You'll find previous years, so this is a sneak preview. But Pittsford is in the middle of the pack relative to our ethnicity, race, and our diversity. I've talked about this a few times, so now I want to kind of show it. And that's it's hard to see. It's small, but in the packet it's better. Is that you are towards the bottom of the screen right now, in the middle. A lot of new construction. I think that color today is salmon, depending on the display you're looking at or on your computers. But a lot of that home growth is towards the thruway, which is the salmon color plots. Some of those roads aren't even cut yet. And I work with the town GIS analyst. Her name is Michelle Debye, and she is wonderful. And we only rely on her rather than just arbitrarily driving around, because she will share with us with great specificity building permits, what's been approved, what's going to be approved. And we try to unravel any fiction or hearsay that people are talking about. And an example of that is there's talk in the town right now of over 190 apartments going up where the Crystal Barn was. And the town communicates with often just telling us that it's not going to be family home units. It might be more of an extension of the retirement community there. So we try to find the facts, and the town is very good collaborators when it comes to this type of work. And you've seen these before if you've been on the board for a while. For those of you that are new, there's a few neighborhoods that are either really close to being built out or are in the process of just starting. And the ones we highlight here are the ones we like to focus on. We have a little bit of trend data on. And here's the trend data that I spoke of all the way over to the left. It's those built already. You've got the ones that we learned from Michelle that are under permit, and then some of the vacant lots that still need to be built out. So here I did the pop out of over 200 homes. When I talk about Mendon Center growing a little bit, when I talk about Barker Road and Mendon High growing, most of that screen coloring, if it's evident on that display, those are the feeder schools and schools that students will ultimately end up at. Mostly those three, with a few going to Thornell Road and just a handful from the Skyway Drive that I started with going to Allen Creek. So you have that to show you where kids could go. And this is where they have been going based in the move-ins from those neighborhoods. We have about 90 or so kids that were ultimately added to Mendon Center, about 30 that went to Barker, and about 50 that went to Mendon High School based on home construction to date. So that's just what's been done, and the previous slide was what could be. So some of us spent many, many hours trying to look at the attendance boundary lines a few years back and to try to look at how we could shrink Mendon Center a little bit to allow it to be a more reasonable size. And back then, when Sean was principal there, Jefferson Road had a little more room for growth, and Allen Creek had some room for expansion. So we did move those boundary lines. And I would say that we did a pretty good job there because we are pretty stable across time. There's always a little bit of tight spots here and there for extras. But I popped out Mendon Center because 600 for sure, but right next to it you'll see that number of 198 potential homes. If those 198 homes that would feed Mendon Center come to fruition, it will go closer to the 700 that I spoke about earlier. So we have positioned ourselves for growth correctly. So in summary, kindergarten has grown over time, 25% increase. As you saw in some of the slides today, our student population and our families become more diverse based on self-reporting, and that the Mendon Center catchment area that would affect Barker Road and Mendon High, those schools will grow. That's a certainty. And when I say certainty, it's not a personal opinion. I think the facts and the past history will show that we've been about 95% accurate with our 10-year projection and 98% accurate with our 5-year projections. So we put a lot of care and hopefully you'll put trust into it with what you've seen here today and what you have in your packet. With that, any questions? And the light stayed on.
Thank you so much, Dr.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes, all items are on the consent agenda this evening.
And from there, our superintendent's report, Mr. Carroll.
There is not a need for an executive session this evening. Our district planning team did our best to provide budget guidelines to the Board of Education for a first viewing. Wanted to see if there was any questions regarding what was sent to you. Okay, and I want to thank our district planning team for that work. Hopefully, if between now and our next board meeting there aren't any questions, then we can, I will be asking the board to approve our budget guidelines for next year's budget. And then the last thing I have is just a follow-up from my last report relative to policy. We have over 100 policies that have been edited in some form, which is way too many to ask the board to approve at one time. So we are looking at dividing them into probably 3 different sections. One section meaning things that are really more semantics and really no changes. And then the next batch will probably be things for your consideration that would have real slight impact. And then the last would be for your consideration policies that would have significant changes to them. So I'm working with Cindy Coleman to put that together so it's manageable. And so we have none to present this evening for a first reading. Any questions there? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
It's just on the consent, I think.
Thank you. So I would like to ask for a motion for our consent agenda. Sarah and Renee, thank you. All in favor? The ayes have it. Thank you. Motion carries. Next, we'll have old business, if there is any. Is there any new business? From there, we will proceed with public comment.
Oh, it's okay. You don't have the clicker. Okay.
We'd like to ask our first public comment to come forward, Diana Joseph.
If you come up here, you can actually put the microphone on.
So good evening. I want to first thank the board for giving us parents this opportunity to come and share some of our concerns. My name is Diana Thangadurai. I work as a physician with RRH. We used to live in Webster before, and we moved to the Pittsford School District in 2016 because of the academic rigor that was offered in the Pittsford School District. My daughter is a junior at Sutherland High, and when she did her junior year, she also, when she was in her 9th grade, she did the biology regions and simultaneously did the chemistry honors program. There was a vast difference in the honors curriculum versus the biology regions that was offered. The chemistry curriculum was more rigorous, was academically challenging. The teacher, the material, the labs, it was truly breathtaking, the amount of rigor that was put in. And my child, it was a good program. In comparison, the biology program had a lot fewer labs that was offered, and most of the material that was presented were handwritten notes from the teacher, and the material that was offered was extremely simplified, and
it was somewhat of a disappointment because there was lack of structure in the content that was given in comparison to what the chemistry honors program was. She later went on to take her 10th grade, when she was in her 10th grade, did the AP chemistry, and I could clearly see the rigor of the AP chemistry. She handled it really well. I didn't have to do any tutoring because most of the topics that were covered in AP chemistry was already covered well in the chemistry honors. Next year, she will be taking her AP biology, and my concern is that the program that she did in her 9th grade may not prepare her as well as the chemistry honors did. My concern here is that not just my daughter, but for other parents whose kids might have the same concern, I would encourage the school to continue with the honors program, offering the honors program for students who would not be able to get tutoring services done, because the program that they have is extremely good with the honors, and the teachers are well equipped to prepare the students. As the children compete not just with other U.S. school districts, but also with international schools that are also competing for the same colleges in the U.S., it creates a very good level playing field for all our kids. So the same rigor that the sports aspect offers, I would encourage the board to look into with the academics as well. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Next, we'll ask Lynn Zhu to come forward.
Hi, I'm Ling. Thank you for this opportunity. So I'm here want to talk about the concern we have of current school, like student school lunch in our school district. One notable concern we have is that the portion of the school lunch is actually really small, so that one meal is not enough for a lot of kids in the school. They need to buy multiple meals for just one lunch. This accumulated a really high price for the lunch cost, and eventually it actually exceeded the market price for just one meal. I just want to take an example of my son. My son is a second grade 8 years old student at MCE Medicine Center. He has a normal appetite, but there were many times he told me that he needed to buy 2 meals, cost like $7-8 to feel full for the lunch. Particularly on the Pizza Wednesday, he need to buy 2 slices of pizza, which costs us like $7.50. But when we actually go to Pontillo's, he just like 1 slice of pizza is more than enough for him, and that only costs like $4. So this is just an example of us, and we had several conversations among many like MCE and the Pittsford district school districts parents, and apparently this is not a real situation. And very coincidentally, there was a discussion in the Facebook Pittsford Mom group, I think last night, about like the school lunch complaints, and they had like almost like 200 comments over one night. So that's definitely not just like one instance here. So this has the cost of meals. I heard some bigger kids in the Medicine Center elementary school, like 5th grade, they even need to buy like 3 or 4 meals, just cost the parents more than $10 just for one lunch. This way exceeded people's expectations of like school district lunch affordability. And so I understand that there is need to cover the expense, but it's still like, for us, we think our school district can do better to provide like more reasonable price for the school lunch, at least aligned to the market price. Yeah, so that this will help us, all the parents in our school district, and provide us more convenience and more options for kids' school lunch. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I will say we did read all 200 comments. We did, and we're doing a lot of processing right now with that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we'd like to have Julia Kai come forward, please.
This is Shuya. Happy New Year first. I'd like to first express my gratitude to the school district for including parents as stakeholders in school committees for decision making. In addition to the school board, through participation in various committees, I have had the opportunity to meet teachers and gain a better understanding of their perspectives on school education. However, I have also observed a lack of representation of accelerated program teachers, particularly in STEM subjects, including instructional challenging honors and AP teachers. For instance, in the Elementary Academic Council, EAC, there's only one IC teacher and one STEM teacher among 18 members. Similarly, in the Secondary Academic Council, SAC, there are only 2 IC honors AP teachers and the same 2 teachers in STEM. This underrepresentation is also evident in the district planning team, the Instructional Leadership Council, and the Teacher Center Board. While specific slots are allocated for administrators, special education leaders, and equity leaders, accelerated program teachers are predominantly represented by subject leaders who may not be familiar with the needs of accelerated students. Considering that almost half of our 8th grade students took the Algebra 1, which is a high school Regents exam, the lack of representation of the accelerated student program teachers in instructional and the planning committee may have contributed to the recent approval of academic curriculum changes, such as the cancellation of high school science honor programs and the policy change regarding 1 credit per subject in middle school toward high school transcript. Merit is a crucial aspect of diversity, and it should not be diminished or eliminated in our effort to uplift everyone. Lowering the criteria bar does not benefit anyone, regardless of our intention. Following the Supreme Court's decision to end the affirmative action in higher education, this year's college early action and early decision processes have been trending toward merit once again. Given the Pittsford Central School District's strong commitment to academic rigor, we have the opportunity to lead and align with the changing direction of colleges to strengthen our focus on merit. I believe that our policies can be enhanced by ensuring more merit-based representation in our instructional and planning committees. We can continue to prioritize and reinforce the importance of merit within our academic community through this proactive approach. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
And as a very valued member of our district planning team, I would like to thank you for coming in tonight, Shuya. Just for a matter of, for the record, to just make sure the facts are accurate, I will share that our Secondary Academic Council has 4 teachers with AP courses, and then we have another 2 on Secondary Academic Council that are standards leaders that aren't teaching AP right now, but they have AP in the past. So that's a total really of 6. 6 of our teachers have that AP experience. And then relative to EAC, our Elementary Academic Council, these are core area standards leaders and the instructional challenge standards leader attend. And 1 teacher from each building. So all elementary classroom teachers are STEM teachers, in particular K-3. So I just want to make sure that that we're clear just as far as the number. Your point is well heard, but I just want to make sure we're accurate with our numbers and representation on the committees.
So I did check all the teachers on the school website and through the committee members. Maybe we can double check it.
Yeah.
But I double checked the honors names and their affiliations.
I can send you that if you'd like. I have the 6 teachers that I just referenced that are on the committee. I can certainly send you their names if you'd like. And maybe we're wrong on what's online. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, we'll have John Sussman come forward. Thank you.
Thanks. John Sussman, 29 Sturbridge Lane. Thank you for this time. At the board's December meeting, the superintendent's report included references to the Erie 1 BOCES policy audit that could result in a range of possible policy modifications. Among revisions you referenced was a possible limitation on public comment to matters specifically appearing on agendas alone. I want to thank the superintendent for replying to my initial outreach about this. I understand and share concerns about the misuse of public comment, and of course I'll wait and see what specific modifications you consider. I'd like to encourage the board in advance, however, to preserve and even expand opportunities for the public to comment in public view on a wide range of matters applying to the district, not just items specifically appearing on your agendas. The board's participation and public comment policy has changed several times over the last 4 years. In general, these changes have appeared to narrow opportunities to comment in this venue. As long as the board can conduct its business, I support fewer restrictions on the public's ability to responsibly share its views, even when those views are contrarian. I appreciate your continued willingness to hear from residents on a wide range of matters in this setting. And of course, thank you for making this time available to all of us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Do you have anything?
Oh, good.
Okay.
I guess I will. I'll just say thanks, John. The other, so what John just shared is that probably that third category of policies that I talked about that would have a significant change in from Erie 1. So for the general public's knowledge, many of our policies come to us that are written by attorneys that we subscribe to through Erie 1. And so all of these audits, the new policies that are coming to us, are either suggested small changes or suggested big changes or suggested middle changes. And that's the process we're going through right now that we'll certainly put in waves for the Board of Education's eyes.
Thank you. So with that, is there a motion for adjournment? So moved. Jeff, Sarah. Thank you. All in favor? The ayes have it. Thank you so much.